Hello Enviro students. This video is meant to show you guys how to do the second part of your soil texture lab. So if you don't have your jar, you're going to need a jar, a ruler, and a marker. And what you are going to do with the marker is you're going to actually measure your different soil layers. So you guys can see in the little diagram that I have here that I've broken down my layers into the three soil particles: sand, silt, and clay. The sand is the largest, so it always settles to the bottom. Then silt is your medium, and then clay is your finest particle. If you have dark liquid up above your sample, you may not have had all of your clay settle out. You can see mine's pretty clear, and that lets me know that my clay has settled. So mine took about 5 days to completely settle, so that's why we had so much time in between when we shook these and when we let them sit. It takes a while sometimes for the clay to actually fully settle down. I took a marker and I marked on the side of my jar where all of my layers are separated. This picture is not taken at the best angle, so it doesn't show you guys the layers incredibly well. But I took a ruler after I marked my layers and I measured from the bottom of the jar and I measured up and I got the total height of all the layers, which is on the side in red. It was 3.8 centimeters. If you do not have centimeters on your tape measure or ruler, feel free to use inches in your calculations. We're going to be calculating percentages, so the unit doesn't ultimately matter when you do your calculations. It will cancel out. Then I took and I had the three layers marked and I measured each of the individual layers. So my sand, I measured from the bottom to the top of the sand layer, and that was 1 centimeter. And then for the silt layer, I measured from the marking of the top of the sand layer up to the top of the silt. So I just measured the silt, and then everything above that line, above the silt line, I measured, and that was my clay. So I got 1.6 centimeters for my silt and 1.2 centimeters for my clay layer. Once I had all of those measured, I put them into my data table, and I'll show you guys what that looks like next. Okay, so this is my data table. As you can see, I've entered all of my different layers, and then I also put in the total for the three layers together. And then to calculate out your percentages for each layer, you're going to take the measurement of the layer. So for clay, I had 1.2 centimeters, and then I'm going to divide that by the total for all three layers, which was 3.8. I divide those numbers out, and I get 0, and I get 0.31. I just rounded to the nearest hundredth when I did these calculations. Once I have my decimal, I'm going to multiply that by 100 to get my percentage, and that gets me 31%. And I'm going to do the same process for all my layers. Take the amount of the silt layer, divide it by the total, and then multiply the decimal by 100, and I get 42% from my silt layer. That was my largest. And then for my sand layer, same process. And I get 26%. Okay, you'll notice that the two boxes below the percentages are dark. You don't need to fill anything out in those boxes. You can just put your percentages in the last column, and those are the three calculations. And this is the soil texture pyramid, which you'll use to actually figure out the type of soil that you have based off of the percentages that you just calculated. I usually like to put this into a drawing medium, so I'm currently using OneNote, so I can literally just draw on this image. You could put this in your iPad, you could put this in Google Draw, and it just makes it easier because then you can draw in lines and find your point that tells you what your soil is. So I'm going to start with sand. Sand is on the bottom of the pyramid, and my sand percentage was 26%. So I'm going to go along the bottom here, and I'm going to find 26%. So here's the 20 and here's the 30. So 26 would be somewhere in the middle, and I'm just going to draw a line going up. All of the sand layers go diagonally up. Just draw it all the way across. The next layer is going to be your silt layer, so that's on the right-hand side of the pyramid. My silt layer was 42%. So then again, you find your percentage. 40 is right here, 50 is right here. So I'm going to go closer to the 40, and I'm going to draw a line going down at an angle right there. And then the last one is going to be clay, which is on the left-hand side. And my clay number was 31%. So I find the 30 on this side, and this is the one that you're going to do go straight across. So I go close to my 30 and I draw a line going across, and you can see at that point right there, my 3 lines intersect. That tells me my type of soil. As you can see, I'm in clay loam. When I did my ribbon test, I thought I had loam soil, but I'm kind of right on the border of loam, so I'm pretty close to it. But some of you guys might experience that your percentages are giving you a different type of soil than the one that you did in your ribbon test. I'm going to ask you to think about why that is. Okay, so think about the procedures and what you did and what might have caused you to get a different percentage. It could be some issue with either the shake test or with the ribbon test. Please let me know if you have any questions.